Hey guys, welcome back to another episode on Dodefy, and today I'll be talking about building a resume with 7 good tips and 3 bad tips. So the 3 do nots. So the first 7 tips. So I just wanted to mention quickly, I just finished Springboard having a career life coach talk to me throughout my resume and see what else I could improve in it. So that's another good feature about Springboard is that they offer that one-on-one with your resume, so they're able to critique you based on what information you provided them. So I just finished my meeting with Liva Neyroud. She's awesome, she's amazing. She was able to help me improve my resume by a bunch, I think, and I really liked her a lot. So I'll leave her information down below. So anyways, let's continue with the video. So I'll give you 7 good tips on building the best resume for your next job. So this could be for UX UI designers or any other field. So the first one is creating your biography short and simple and strong. It has to be purposeful and make sure to prove a point across your bio in order for you to stand out from the rest of the competitors. So make sure to be it like not too long, because if it's like way too long, like maybe like 6 sentences is too long, because I'll talk about users. I'll say users a lot because I'm used to saying that, users, but I'm talking about the business people that are going to be reviewing your resume. So users will want to read less and be lazy about reading like a lot of text. So usually if there's a lot of text, they'll skim it and they'll just skip over it or just not read it at all because it's too much to read. So make sure it's small, simple, and proves a point. So the next one, second tip, is creating links for your portfolio. A link for your LinkedIn, your email, and your phone number. Uh, the companies usually want to see where you're located or how to reach you the fastest they can. So make sure that everything's there. Also, your LinkedIn portfolio isn't necessary because they want to view your works and what you have done before. So the third one is typography and hierarchy. So typography is super important because the bigger the font and the thicker the font, like the text is, the more visually appealing it is. And if you add color, it'll be even more appealing. So if you want to draw attention to the user based on the thicker and the bigger, then they'll be directed towards that, as opposed to like the body text, it's a lot smaller, and the text color is less, it's a lot lighter, to make emphasize that it's less important and emphasize that something is more important. Make sure to add more darkness to it. So another one is proximity and white space. So adding space in between your sections, like your throughout your whole resume, is important. Proximity is also important, to include sections that are together, that are related to one another, is another one. So make sure that your resume has that. The fifth one is that your projects should be there before your experience, because projects are more important, because people want to see your project and see what you have done. And make sure to include a summary, which I'll talk about in the seventh tip. So stay tuned. So the next one is adding the education. So make sure to add all the dates that you added for education, and where you went to school and where you got your certificate or anything that is related to your education, not including high school, by the way. So the last tip is including a short biography. Like, for example, let's say you done a work experience, make sure to include what you did there, and like very very brief. It doesn't have to be too long, maybe like 2 sentences or one. And then for your projects, make sure to include what you have done throughout there, like what techniques you did, what research you did, what development you did, or basically explaining more about the skills and the project itself. So yeah, so the next one is the 3 do nots. So the 3 do nots is, do not include a picture of yourself, because it's people like employers, job companies might discriminate or judge based on your picture, so don't include that. And do not rate your skills is another one, because you don't want people to see that you're more skillful in this program or in this language than this other one. And it's really hard to determine like ratings, because you don't know in what degree someone is skillful. Like they could be like super experts. It's kind of like, what is it, like subjective, where users might feel like they're less skillful than they actually are. So like the people hiring, they might think that they're not as skillful, but the person applying is like more skillful. It's a lot that goes into this, but it's not recommended to do that. Also, do not include more than one page for your resume. Like I know it could be like super long and your history is like super long, so minimal to like one is important, because you want to keep it simple and short. So I got a bonus for you. So if you sticked around this long, I'm super like glad that you did. So I'm going to show you examples of resumes now, and talk to you about like what they did right and what they did wrong. So including the tips that I just said and the don'ts. So let's move on to the computer. So here is on Behance. I ended up going to Behance and then seeing like good resumes that stood out to me. So here you can see that they ended up using the typography, the hierarchy, as like this is more important. So like if I was to be the person looking at this resume for the first time, I'll see like, oh, Matthew Smith is very like appealing to me, the title right away, and I'll go directly to that because it's like the biggest and it occupies like almost the whole top of the page of the header. And then the full stack developer kind of draws my attention a little bit. But then there's a profile, contact, education, work experience, skills. Those are the next ones I would focus on. And then following that is like this other font that is like smaller but is more appealing and more directed to than this one. So I would like immediately go to this instead of this. So this is the last thing that is on my mind to go to, and this seems like a little too much space. So probably for proximity, for it to be together, because you don't want to like separate your skills or the techniques that you're doing. Like you don't want them to be so far apart from each other. Other than that, I think it's a great resume that is like pretty much well done. This is just an example. So another example over here is, that one was kind of small, but like here's the bio, and it's pretty small. I think the other bio was like really like, it's decent in text, but I feel like it could be like a little bit shorter. And this one's a lot shorter because the text is a lot bigger, so it makes it look like a lot more, but it's actually less. And it's also more visually appealing. So this is like really appealing. The Michael Smith, I like the way he like set up the resume here, and again like the hierarchy and so they listed the education, skills. Oh yeah, one thing that I forgot was to include the skills too. So skills is like not like required, but it's actually a good thing to put in your resume. And another thing that I forgot to mention is that the keywords is another important thing. So make sure that include important keywords that stand out with your title and the job that you're applying for, because usually software or companies uses software to narrow down the resumes based on certain keywords that were used in the resume. So that's how they eliminate a lot of like applicants through that software. So make sure that your keywords are on point and you use a lot of like important text that is required for your job. So education, and then there's experience, and there's achievements. Another thing is achievements that you could include in there if you want to. It's not, I don't really include achievements on mine, but it's good to, like, if you have space to add it to. So that's another one. So the don'ts So like this one is like really nice and everything. Like I like the whole design of this one. I'm not saying that it's not good. Like he included a picture of it. Like it's appealing because like that's the person you're gonna work with and you would want to see them. But it's usually like not good to put pictures of yourself. So it's like multiple pages too. So like make sure to include everything in one page. Like this is like scrolling of a PDF. That's way too much. So another thing that I saw in a lot of resumes were the skill set. So like design skills, Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. So like people either use the circles to rate themselves or the progress bars. So make sure not to include that in your resume because you don't want to be judged based on like this, and it's like very subjective based on what you think and what they expect. So don't include that. I saw that in like a lot of resumes. So yeah, that's about it. This ends and wraps up my video. Hopefully you found this video useful and helpful. So make sure to subscribe, leave a like and comment. It'll help out a lot. So for the next one, peace out.